hột gà nướng, hột vịt lộn, hột vịt sữa, trứng cút lộn, ớt xào đây.
Welcome to another episode of 7 Million Bikes, a Saigon podcast. My name's Neil Mackay and thanks for listening. Now, my guest today was actually born in Indonesia and moved to Saigon when she was 5 years old. And now she works for a beer company that came out of India called Bira 91, which is now moving into the Vietnamese market. But she's actually travelled all over and we're going to talk a lot about that. And now she has an educational foundation as well that's helping disadvantaged children in Vietnam, which is obviously an unbelievable thing to do. So my guest today is GiangSinh Pham, and thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
You were born in Indonesia,
Yes.
but your parents were Vietnamese, is that right?
Yes. My parents moved to Indonesia like long time ago for work, and that's it. And that's how they met. That's how that I was born. My mom originally from Mekong, and she already has 2 children before my dad. And my dad is just people, call it. He's a playboy from a northern family, that well educated family. But then he fell in love with my mom, so that's a bit dramatic in my family.
And so what was the fallout from that?
Of course, that the family from my dad's side didn't really encourage them to like move together. But then I think my dad was really cool. He stood up for my mom, and yeah, I think it's beautiful love story, and he's a great like model for me.
What was it like being 5 years old and moving to Saigon?
Well, it was a tough time for me, that I had a lot of fun in Indonesia, and then moved back to Vietnam, that I had no friends, and because that we mentioned that there's a drama of my parents' love story, so it caused me also a lot of troubles in my family, because like they didn't really accept me and my mom. Yes, but over time, my mom proved that she's a wonderful woman. So everyone loves her now.
Tell me a bit more about that, because we've talked a lot. I've talked with Vietnamese people on this show, and we've talked about family and we've talked about Vietnamese culture. Can you explain a bit more about that? Like, what did the family do to not accept you? Like, how did that make you feel? How did that make your mum feel?
You've been here in Vietnam and in the north, right? I'm sure that you know the culture.
I've been in the north very, very briefly, but you're actually 3 out of the 4 guests so far on this season have been from the north originally, and it's something we've talked about the kind of culture in the north as being quite different to the south.
Yes. So my background, my family's background actually, that my grandparents, they spoke and wrote and read in French and English even before they did it in Vietnamese. So well-educated family. And my mom, totally opposite. She didn't really have like proper education, and also because she already married once and with 2 kids. So that what make my parents' love story was really hard to be accepted in a family.
I imagine, and from conversations I've had with Vietnamese friends, that situation would still be massively difficult and almost taboo, like today in 2019. And we're talking about, what, 20 odd years ago that this happened?
Yeah, 30 years ago.
30 years ago. So I can't imagine the difficulty 30 years ago to fit in with society. Was that part of the problem?
Yes. I grew up remembering my mom crying a lot. Yeah. But it just happened. This is how it works. That is how it is today. So that's something that I don't really like about Vietnamese culture. I love it or not, but it's always like side effects. Yeah. So it took us years and years, to blend in with the family culture. And yeah, it is for me, 5 years old, that my parents usually like they were off to work, so I had to stay with my dad's family back then, and they didn't like me. But right now I think I'm positive about it.
That's so sad though.
Yes, I know.
And as a child, you could feel that.
Totally. I think that kids usually they're really smart. If you're nice to them, they know it immediately, right away. But if you bad to them,
And you can sense that they were being bad to you.
for sure, for sure.
Wow.
I see the distance between me and my family a lot is a big gap.
And what was it you could see? Like they would just give more love and attention to your brother
My
and
cousins,
sister.
yeah, my cousins.
Were you like the last to eat and things like that?
Kind of.
Right.
And then, but you know what is my mom always encouraged me to like be generous, to be nice, to be kind to everyone, no matter how bad they treated me and my mom. She's a wonderful woman. So that's why that she told me that I need to get best education, be confident, be independent, be whatever I want to be, but be confident, independent. I remember in my entire life. So that what make me who I am today. I'm so grateful.
Fantastic. And what do you feel was the turning point then with your dad's family?
Yes. So we had to move to LA in early 2014. So and then back then before that, they actually put my parents divorce. They put a lot of pressure on both my parents to divorce. So the process of me and my dad go to LA is much faster. I didn't know how that happened, but yeah, it did. And then when we moved to LA, then I told you that I felt completely lost in LA. I didn't feel belong to the country or the city, so I stayed there for almost a year, traveling, working, and then I decided to move back to Vietnam, and then that was a turning point. So, and my family had to look at the situation again, and they understand that it's no longer my problem. I should have my own life. So then they encourage they interfere a lot to my parents' life. So they offer. I hate the word, but they offer my mom to think about to reconsider to move to LA with my dad. But my mom is very typical Vietnamese woman. She just accepted. She didn't care. She didn't think much about what happened before that. That how bad.
So did they get divorced?
They got divorced.
Just legally?
Yes, legally, and then my dad came back to Vietnam because that I moved back to Vietnam, and he was living alone in LA. Not alone with the whole big family, but because I'm the only child to my dad. So then I talked to my dad. So what do you think? I'm not gonna live with you. I'm sorry, but I have my life here. So then, yeah, I think that he put a lot of thoughts to that. So he decided to move to back to Vietnam, talk to my mom, and then they got married again. And
Oh.
then both of them now living in LA, and I'm going to see them in 2 weeks.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, I had to fight a lot for my own freedom. So yeah, I'm so happy here in Vietnam.
So tell me, what was it like then growing up in Saigon? Because I can only imagine it was a very different place to what it is now.
It's Saigon is like crazy place. It's nothing like any city that I have ever been to. It's so fast, moving so fast, and somehow that I maybe because of the industry that I'm working in, that I feel like if you skip a week or two, people don't see you, and you will be left behind. Yes, working in this industry, F&B, especially like alcohol, that you need to be seen in order to do business. People must know you. So it's all about relationship. It's a good thing because I'm good at managing relationship with my customers, but at the same time I think that there's no like work-life balance. So it's a challenge. I love challenge, but I always feel like I need to get away from Saigon once in a while, like 1 or 2 months.
I think that's a common thing. I know, especially for expats, it's interesting to hear from. I mean, I guess you're almost an expat. You weren't born here, right? But I think it's a common thing that people want to get out of the city. Yeah, I mean, it's so busy, it's so crazy. I've talking about friends about this lately. Like karaoke on the street, food stalls going by my window at 2 a.m. shouting "Bap Saudi," traffic at all times of the day and night, and it's confronting and it's overwhelming to the senses, and it is interesting to hear because it's not just like whiny expats that are like, "Oh, this city's too crazy." Like, I know that local people feel the same as well, right?
Yeah, I think that's what I miss when I'm away. So I just need to like remind myself that it's Saigon, so you have to get used to it. So, but it's funny because you're Saigonese, you're Vietnamese, but you still have to like get you or adapt to that environment. Sometimes I think it's so familiar. I love it so much, but sometimes I feel so strange. I don't feel like I belong to the city. Yeah.
So you grew up here. You did your university here.
Actually, that I went to one Vietnamese university and the other one is a Singaporean university.
Okay. And what was the difference like between those two?
I mean, Singaporean university gave me a different angle, different vision of what I want to do in life. I really enjoy it, especially the lecture. That's how that I met the very first foreign friends and foreign lecturers. Yes, so that's why that I think it's changed me a lot. In terms of like mindset and perspective in life. So I see things differently. So that's why at the same time, since then I don't feel like I'm original Vietnamese, Saigonese, because what I see or what I like is usually is not what the majority Vietnamese people gonna like or interested into. That's a big difference.
And do you ever feel like an outsider? Do you feel Vietnamese, and then at other times do you feel like I'm an outsider? Because
yes, um, as I mentioned earlier, that whenever I'm with expat friends, that they see me just a normal people, just like them. But when I'm with my Vietnamese, they think that I'm weird. This feeling that I'm, for example, when I'm at a group of girlfriends, we usually talk about like family, marriage, and how to take care of your baby. That's none of them are my interests. So I care more about the career path, that how I'm going to grow in like as a person or in professional life, and how I can give back to the society. That's the reason why that I came back to Vietnam. That's why I chose Vietnam over and over again. Yeah.
So do you consider yourself VQ?
No, I don't. I'm Vietnamese. I'm Saigonese.
And what makes you identify with that?
Well, when you say Vietkill, meaning that there's a big gap in your life that you are not connected to the country. That's not true. At least I'm living here and there quite a lot, but I always feel connected to this country and the people, and that's how my foundation was born. That's where I put my heart into.
Awesome. Well, the reason I ask is, and I talked about this on a previous episode, I read this was just not long after I arrived in Vietnam, that VQs can kind of be looked upon in a different way because Vietnamese people think the VQs are better than them. I'm not saying that's reality, but that's the perception. So even though you don't think of yourself as VQ, the fact that you have been educated overseas, you were born in another country, have you felt that people kind of look at you in a different way?
Yes. They definitely, obviously, that see me as somebody like outside, that I don't like the feeling. But it doesn't really matter how that I learned over years that it's not important at how people look at you, but how you identify yourself. And it took me years and years to understand it, accept who I am. I'm a bit of in a Western culture, and I have my very, very Vietnamese culture in me. So I'm proud of it.
Cool. Give me an example. What's one thing that you identify as Western and one thing you identify as Vietnamese relating to yourself?
Yeah, okay. It's a really funny thing that I don't use chopsticks very well.
What?
I know, and I don't eat chili at all. Zero. I think I have allergy with chili and anything spicy.
Okay, that's definitely Western then. You sound like an English person.
My dad gave me a fork and knife when I was growing up, when I was so little. And yeah, I know. People usually ask me that I don't have a license. I cannot drive very well. So
You must get such funny looks when you go into a place and you ask for a knife and fork.
yes. And one time me and another English guy that we went to a Vietnamese restaurant, and he actually asked for the chopstick and I asked for fork. And people look at me. Are you sure that you're Vietnamese? Excuse me? Okay.
This happened to me recently though. I sat down somewhere just near here in Phu Nhan, and the woman, she was so lovely and so nice. I was about to eat my soup and she came over with like a spoon and a fork, I think, as well, and as the chopsticks in my hand. I was like, no, it's okay, I've got this,
Like Vietnamese people usually eating rice out of the bowl and they use chopstick, and I have to use a spoon.
I'm not good at that. That's my way. I'm not good at eating rice.
Yes.
But we were having food last week on the street as well, and there was this group of kind of older Vietnamese guys next to us all drinking beer and eating. And he seemed really impressed with me at first that I was using chopsticks. He was kind of like pointing and he's giving me the thumbs up. But then he started making fun of me because I was holding my chopstick so low down.
Mm-hmm.
And I forgot that's a thing. Do you know this? That apparently you can tell how long a Westerner has lived in Vietnam by how low they hold their chopsticks. And I was holding mine like right at the bottom so I could pick it up. And he was pointing at me like, you're holding it down the bottom. And I was like, all right. And I had to put my hands out. I can do it the other way, but it is easier. So then after university, what did you do after that?
Well, my first job was I was working as a butler in Six Senses, Ninh Văn Bay back then in 2011. It was one of very few like super like deluxe resorts in Vietnam.
Yeah, Six Senses is like the pinnacle of luxury, right? Almost.
Yes, it was in an island. Actually, it's not an island; it's a peninsula.
So so my sister-in-law and my brother-in-law both got to stay at the Six Senses a couple of years ago.
Okay.
And she got an email before they went there asking what type of pillow did she want.
Yes.
And they had about 14 different types of pillow that you could choose from, like hypoallergenic, soft, medium, lemon. I don't know. I can't even remember. She showed me the email before.
Yes.
That's how luxurious it is, right?
Yes, and even you can pick your pillow mist, the thing that you put on your pillow so it makes you sleep better stuff, and you can show your butler.
You can choose your butler.
Yes.
So if you've had someone you've used before.
Yeah, you can go to, TripAdvisor and you read some comments.
Right.
And then I got a request of like two gay couple, of a gay couple from UK, as I remember. They requested me even before they met me.
So what was that like then at Six Senses? That must have been an interesting experience.
Yes, so it was my first time living away from my parents. I'm very typical Asian or Vietnamese kid growing up in a big city, and now that I had to move to Nha Trang, a very small rural cities that I also it was in living in the island. So meaning that I stay in the island 3 weeks in one time, and there's no way that you can go to the mainland, but the speedboat or like the wooden boat, the big boat for the staff. So yeah, it's totally different. No entertainment, nothing. The only thing you can get is some Tiger beer, Ba beer at the host bar. That's it.
So did you tend to any celebrities?
A lot, actually.
Go on. Name drop.
Most of them Vietnamese celebrities, but there's one time that we met the guy from F1, Michael Schumacher. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's kind of like, so we keep it very like low profile for them.
Yeah. Well, we do have Vietnamese listeners, so tell us name drop the Vietnamese celebrities.
Most of the models. I'm not familiar with the Vietnamese celebrities like Ha Anh, like a lot of like actors and actors, but I don't know. But
don't know the names.
Yeah, I don't know the names. Yeah.
I thought that recently. I was at a kind of opening night, and I think there might have been a couple of celebrities there. I don't know any of them, so I wonder like how a celebrity acts when someone is like, I have no idea who you are. I wonder if they're kind of like, oh, he doesn't know who I am.
Yeah,
you know what
that
I mean?
happened to me. That happened to me a lot. But I know some like Kim Bao, some Yeah, very famous actor, but I'm not a big fan.
Did they ever kind of act like that? Like, what, you don't know
A
who I am?
lot, a lot.
Really?
But some is really nice, polite and kind. They treat us really well, and even you don't earn a lot from like base salary basis, but you will get a lot from tips. That back then when I was only 23, no, I'm sorry, 21 after university, and then I can earn from $1,000 to 1.5. That was a big thing.
They just give you that at the end of the trip?
Yes. Some people just stay for 3 or 2 nights, but at the end of the trip, they give you like $100 or $200. Yes.
Makes up for it, right? What's the craziest thing that happened to you then at the Six Senses?
Well, because they're really high profile and professional people, so I don't have I think that I don't have a lot of like crazy requests, but at one time that I remember, they were my guests. So they stay in their villa because there's no room as a villa. So I rarely see them leaving the villa. But whenever we came to visit them, you have to go to see your guests, to say hello, ask if they need anything. So there's so many times that not only me but the other resort staff, they went to their room, and every single time you will see them naked. They don't care, and even especially
just open the door like that.
Yes, and especially the lady, she was lying in the sunbed, and the room service came in, and he was so shy, and was just like standing at the door, and she was just like, "Come in, don't worry, come here," and she 100% naked, and her partner were just like standing next to her, and he didn't care.
And he wasn't naked.
He like almost like 80%. He just had a little like bikini. It almost like girls bikini. Almost like that. At the bottom, Oh, it's so embarrassing. But yeah. And
what did you do when you went up and they were like that?
I was shocked.
Just making intense eye contact. I'm not looking anywhere else. I'm looking at your eyes, nothing else.
Yeah, because I'm a girl, so I'm not attracted to girls. So I'm like, but I think I found so weird, so strange, and I think that must be really cold in the country. So when they move here, like they stay for like 2 weeks. Yes. Oh my God. I think that just like 1 or 2 times that I saw them with like full clothes.
Did they come to dinner, or were they just always eating in the room? Like
most of the time in the villa, but even when they went to the restaurants with the less clothes that you could expect.
Well, let's move on then from the Six Senses. So where did you go after the Six Senses then? That was your first job out of university. That's a good job.
Yes, it was really fun, and I met a lot of friends. I know how life was outside of Saigon. I think I'm still like really a city girl. That's how like people put the label on me. And then I started working for Diageo, the biggest liquor company. And my life changed a lot since then.
So where then did you work with Diageo that you came back to Saigon?
Yes, it was in the middle of 2012 after Six Senses. Well, that I went back to Saigon because I found that there was no room for me to develop my knowledge, my skill set. So, and it was quite boring for me after a while, living in the island. And I moved back to Saigon, living with my dad. And then it was really boring. I didn't think about like staying in Saigon for long. I was searching for more other F&B jobs in other cities like Da Nang and Hoi An. But then there's a friend that he was my colleague when I was an intern in Park Hyatt Saigon. He was working as a brand ambassador for Diageo, and he was like, "Yeah, do you want to work for a liquor company?" I was like, "Liquor? I don't drink a lot. Is it a problem?" And he was like, "No, you don't have to drink. Next time, when somebody offer you a job working in a beer or liquor companies and they say that you don't have to drink, don't trust them."
I was just about to say that. I feel like that's something that's like not true. Like, yeah, nah, you don't need to drink a lot, but yeah, no, you do.
No,
you said at the beginning, like, part of your job is you have to be out there meeting people, things like that. And
yes.
as I mentioned, Misha Smith was recommended you for this show, and Misha's a good friend, and you see him out. He is the face of Pasteur, online and in person. He's out there promoting it, drinking it, and I joked with him. I can't remember if it was on the podcast or after the podcast, and I was like, you do work, right? And he's like, yeah, of course. I was like, I'm not going to post a picture of myself doing a spreadsheet, because he posts a picture of himself having a beer,
Yes.
and I was like, no, I want, like, next week, I want you to post a picture of you doing a spreadsheet, even if it's got a beer in it. I want to see that you do some work. He never did it though. So Misha, if you're listening, I want to see that spreadsheet picture.
Well, actually, that to be fair, I have to say that people working in F&B, they have to sacrifice or they give up a lot on their personal life. You don't have like normal daily routine, going to work from 9 to 5 or 9 to 6. I do go to work around 9.
You just contradicted yourself there.
Yes. But not only that, I start my day usually at 9 or 10, but I always end up going home at midnight, like 12, 1 a.m. Just like yesterday, I went home at 2 o'clock.
I think it must, I don't know this because I don't work in the industry, but I feel like your social life and your business life must kind of blend, right?
Yes.
Because you kind of those your social life would involve going out to bars and drinking anyway, and then if that's your job, then they're just going to kind of converge together, right?
Yes. It's funny that when I started working for this industry, that I got a lot of like comments from my friends that I don't see you anymore. I'm like, if you want to see me, just go to a bar. I'm always there. I'm like,
you have to come to me.
Yes, yes. So that's a tough part, that but I think that I prefer it that way. That's a part of me, and that's a part of Saigon life. And also, I work hard from Monday to Friday, and then I'm fully relaxed on the weekend.
I'm laughing because you just said, it's not a normal job. You don't work Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. But I started at 9 and then I work on Monday to Friday.
I know, it's funny. Nobody gonna believe you.
So what attracted you towards the food and beverage industry? Why do you like that?
I think because my nature is half is very extrovert and the other side is really introvert. So I stay in the office like 3 to 4 hours. I try to, and the other time that I'm going out, seeing my customers, talking to people, not only business but also at the personal level. That's how that I I manage my relationship. So I think that what I'm good at, and also it's my job to make people drink.
So what's your favorite drink?
I do love whiskey. I know that I'm working for a beer company now, but if I had a choice, that I could go for a single malt whiskey.
Okay, now, so I'm from Scotland.
I know.
Tell me about what's your favorite single malt
My
whiskey?
top of my whiskey is Talisker.
I'm not a big fan of Talisker because it's like a peaty one, right?
It's smoky.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the smoky ones.
Okay, I love all whiskeys from Iceland.
See, I'm not a fan of Islay whiskeys. They're the one. That's the ones I don't like. But everyone's different, right? Like,
yes. Talisker or Lagavulin.
Yeah, see, that's the ones I shy away from those ones.
Okay, tell me.
But everyone's different, right? Like I found it really interesting. One of the times I was back home recently, we went on a big whiskey tour. All me and my family and friends. We went to like 5 different distilleries. And what's really interesting is whiskey is a really personal thing. One of the guys on the tour who was giving us a tour of the distillery was saying, everyone goes on about, the 18-year-old or this and that. And he's like, it means nothing. It's what you like. He's like, if you get a blended whiskey and you have an 18-year-old single malt whiskey and you don't like it, but the other one's like $3,000 a bottle because it's an 18-year-old. He's like, that's fine. He's like, people just buy that for the status almost. The taste is completely up to what you like.
Yeah, I agree. For example, I think that a blended whiskey is a bit, not just a bit, a lot underrated. But personally, I think I do love double black from Johnny Walker.
I don't think I've tried
strong,
that.
Definitely.
That's smoky though, right?
Yes. I'm a big fan of smoky whiskey. But I think as a girl, Vietnamese girl, back into like 10, 15 years ago, that I already started love alcohol stuff. I think that I will blame my dad, or like people will blame my dad for that, because when I was growing up, when I was 14, instead of like taking me to bookstore, Barbie shop, my dad took me to now you call social pub, Irish bar. Oh man, that my mom was really mad at him. He took me to wine shop, and he made me like, it's kind of like Vietnamese cocktail, but he make lime juice and rum.
What was it? Oh, lime juice and rum. Oh, that sounds good.
Oh man, it's lovely. I like it a lot. But I was only 14, and he took me to discotheque and showing me how good he was at dancing with other
That sounds
ladies.
awesome.
With other ladies. My mom was at home.
Well, at least you're there, so he's not going to do anything wrong if you're there. I'd hope not,
yes.
anyways. You're going to go tell mum, right?
Yes.
Well, that's good. He's not reinforcing gender stereotypes by giving you a Barbie doll, and he's getting you into whiskey, and
I think that I got influence from my dad a lot, so I always tell people that I'm just another like copy of him.
Yeah.
That 99%. So because a bit like dominant, that my mom didn't really interfere in like how my dad educates me. So I was growing up as almost a tomboy, and my dad literally thought I was a lesbian, but he didn't care. He was so cool with that. I think he was happy with that, actually.
Sounds like a good man.
My best friend, my best drinking mate.
I want to have a drink with your dad now. Well, my favourite, maybe not my favourite, but yeah, I enjoy it, is Jameson's.
Okay.
Which again, it kind of has a cheap reputation almost, because it is, it's so ubiquitous, you can find it everywhere. But my wife and I, we went to Ireland a couple of years ago, and we did a tour of the Jameson's. They didn't actually make the Jameson's there, but it was like the Jameson's factory. And again, just so interesting, the skill and the love and the care that goes into making this whiskey, which you just think is like, it's just Jameson's and blah, blah, blah. But, there's so much art goes into making it what it is. And that I always remember this, and it's kind of changed the way I would drink whiskey. The guy was like, don't shoot a whiskey. He's like, it makes my blood boil when you see like people like, yeah, let's have a shot of whiskey, because like even a blended one like Jameson's takes so long. Like it's 12 years old, 18 years process to make this blended whiskey, and then you just knock it back in a second. So ever since then, not that I ever really used to shoot whiskey, but if someone was to give me a whiskey and be like, yeah, let's do shots, I'd be like, no, we're going to sip this. We're going to enjoy it, taste it. And Jameson's does taste really good. Like it's a really smooth...
I agree. That if you know how people make whiskey or any type of drinks, that you will appreciate it much more. It's all about education. Yeah, and that's what we lack of here in Saigon.
Yeah. Well, I think all over probably people don't realise the love and the care that goes into it. We all just want to get drunk, right? That's the end goal, right?
Yeah. It just reminds me of the period in 2012 that we started, back then, about like 8 years ago, people had no idea of like what is a good cocktail. And that's how we Diageo people educated this market, Vietnamese market, about cocktail.
Well, I was going to say, tell me, how do you think the Vietnamese drinking culture has changed? Because Vietnam is one of the largest consumers of beer in the world, and we know that
90%.
Yeah,
alcohol consuming is beer.
It's beer, yeah, and it's crazy. I mean, I remember I lived in D4, and I was going to the gym, and it's like 10 in the morning, and there's a bunch of guys. I was sitting outside, like I did to double take. I was like, wait, the table is like full of beers and things.
10
like
a.m.
that. Yeah, about 10, 11 a.m. Yeah. Don't see that too often, to be honest. But that I did see it, and Vietnam is big consumers of beer. But cocktails, like, I mean, Saigon alone, cocktail bars have just exploded. Like, they used to not really. I've been here just over 3 years. There was maybe a couple when I got here, but now, like, so many, and so many good ones, right?
They open one every month, I would say.
But then one closes every 2 months as well,
yes.
right?
Well, actually, so now cocktail is really something fancy. But, cocktail it shouldn't be seen that way. And also why I say that, because you don't see a lot of like good cocktail bars in Saigon with good quality but affordable. But some cocktail bar, I think the concept is really nice. The atmosphere is really nice and excellent service. But the cocktail is not that good to charge that much.
I'm not going to say names, but there's a couple of cocktail bars I've been to where they were ridiculously expensive. I'll tell you the name after. And I was like, this is rubbish. This is a terrible drink. Like, didn't taste of anything. I was like, this is so pretentious. You're charging like $250 for a cocktail and it's terrible. But then my favorite new place, have you been to the street cocktail on Hai Ba Chung?
It's new, right?
Yeah, so it's street cocktails.
Wow.
It's so Vietnamese.
Where is it?
So you know where the fabric market is on Hai Ba Chung?
Okay.
So you know where the big pink church is?
I do.
So just up from that, once all the fabric stores close, they bring out the classic little plastic Vietnamese stools,
Whoa.
set up like a cocktail bar, and it's like 70,000-80,000 a cocktail. They are amazing.
Good.
They come with a sugar cane stick in it. We went last week. I've been a couple of times recently, and I just looked around. Everyone's just like gnawing on the sugar cane. But the cocktails are unbelievable. About 80,000. They got tequila based, whiskey based, everything. But the only problem is, right, in this classic Vietnam, great idea. Let's set up a cocktail bar on the street. Everyone sits on the street having cocktails. No toilets.
That's not a good thing.
So after about one drink, everyone's like, so where's the bathroom? Jazz hands like, nope, no bathroom. So if you're a guy, that's not too bad because it's Vietnam and you can piss wherever you want, which is not the best thing. But a guy can go around and find a bush. For the girls, it's like...
That makes me surprised, you know, that sometimes that I feel so surprised at how easy it is for everyone to start their own business.
It's a great thing about Vietnam. It's very entrepreneurial and you can do that. I remember when I first came here on vacation, like which was over 4 years ago, and my brother-in-law Lee was taking us around Hanoi, and he's like, yeah, I mean, look, this guy's just got a bucket of beers on the street, a couple of stools, he's selling beer on the street, and I was like, whoa.
That's really Vietnam, right?
Yeah, so Vietnam, but also so Vietnam at the same time that there's no toilets, you know what I mean? Like, we're going to sell alcohol, it's going to make you want to piss, but you can't go anywhere. Like, so what do you do? And this is why guys pee all over the place in Saigon, right?
Oops. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the nastier parts of Saigon, right?
Yeah.
So what's your favourite cocktail?
My favorite cocktail is smoky martini made with La Foy-10. It's fantastic.
So what's your favourite cocktail bar then?
Well, it's not easy, you know. It's a tough question. But I think that I would always choose the alley. You know, the owner of the alley is a friend of mine, also my colleague from GiangSinh. He has another bar named the ATM.
Oh, the ATM, that's cool.
Yes.
I feel like that doesn't come up on many people's radar. Like, I never see it advertised on Facebook. I never hear it mentioned, but I've been before. So for anyone, if you want a cool date night, you want to impress somebody or you want to go out with a partner, go to the ATM. It's right next to Rehab Station and it literally looks like an ATM, right?
Yes. People got confused that a lot.
Yeah, we went there to go to the place and my wife is the one that had found out about it and we walked up and I was like, where is it? And because the door's like hidden and it looks like an ATM and that's an amazing bar. That's where you walk in there, you're like, I can't believe I'm in Saigon.
It's just like another like bar in the center of Europe.
Yeah.
I love it so much.
This is what I think is what's changing so fast about Saigon and what's the misconception. And we've talked about this before. I think, you know, people think of Saigon as almost like maybe a third world country or think of it as, you know, destitute. And obviously there is poverty here and it's massively unequal. But it is modernizing very quickly and it is becoming, you know, more you think of like Bangkok or Hong Kong, things like that. Like there's all these really nice places to go now that weren't even here, you know, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 years ago. But now it's like becoming a bit of a destination for cocktail bars and food and things like that.
Sky Bar.
Sky Bar.
Yes, everyone has a rooftop.
Yeah. I always bring people to Air 360 when they come to visit.
Okay.
Why are you making that face?
Well, it's just not really my type, but I think it's really nice for some people.
It's good for sunset.
Well, my favorite spot for sunset is M Gallery. So Club is what people call it.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, on the top of M Gallery Hotel.
Yeah. That's Cafe de Art.
Yes, that's the one.
So then you said to me earlier, so after Diageo, then you went to work for ABI, which does Budweiser.
And Corona,
And Corona as
Stella,
well.
Whole Garden, Leffe, Beck's. That's a lot.
I always find it interesting when you start to learn more about the food and beverage industry. It's like lifting back the curtain and seeing, you think of all these different brands of beer, that they're all
Yes.
different and they're all unique. And then you're like, oh, they're all owned by one company. Like Diageo owns like everything, right?
Yes.
Like-
They have a huge range of liquors, Diageo, and same with ABI. I think that I have now more than 200 brands all over the world. I just go around, buying
Yeah.
brands. Yeah.
It's like the media, you think it's all different and then it's all owned by like the same 2 or 3 companies. So you went to work for ABI, then PepsiCo.
Suntory PepsiCo is a
Suntory.
joint venture. of
Suntory, like Suntory whiskey.
Yes, yes. But we don't do liquor in Vietnam, only tea,
Oh,
soft
okay.
drinks and tea.
And then you mentioned you started your own company.
Yes, I left Suntory PepsiCo in March 2018. I started having my own business. I had a clothing line. I had a tea house. It's funny because I was working for all liquor and beers, and now that I had a tea house, a library and tea house. Yes, and then
went in a different direction.
totally different. And then by the end of the year 2018, I stopped completely working and I started traveling the world.
And yeah, so you mentioned to me before we recorded, you kind of felt a bit burnt out.
Yes, I did feel it.
Yeah, I know. I think everyone gets to that stage. You said you're having like almost like a quarter life crisis.
Yes, I don't know. I don't know if everyone, I just wondering if I hope that everyone has it because that I don't feel that's like something that only me facing
Oh
or
no,
like
I can
suffering.
definitely relate. Yeah, I'm
Yes,
sure
yes.
most people can relate. Yeah.
But you know, as a Vietnamese person, we don't have a culture of sharing or talking about like the deepest fear. So I didn't talk. I didn't reach out to my family or my friends to talk more about it. It's quite like you have a mental health problem, and then yes, I was living in Vietnam alone, in Saigon alone. I broke up. My business was so much potential, but I felt like I couldn't carry it any longer. I felt so exhausted, completely lonely. I didn't know. I think that I lost my vision. Everything I imagined didn't really work out the way that I wanted it to be. So stopped. I stopped everything. So to travel to Europe, to Australia, to Sri Lanka, and then for like 7 months, back to Saigon.
So was that like your eat, pray, love year?
Yes, I think that I can relate it to that a lot. I went to Bali alone for 8 days. Stay in one villa. I didn't talk to anyone. I didn't make friends with anyone. I finished the book within like 2 or 3 days.
And you read the book as well?
Yes.
I didn't realize when I asked that question, like it literally was an eat, pray,
Yes,
love moment.
yes.
You went to Bali, lived alone, read the book.
I brought Eat, Pray, Love. I brought The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. Yeah.
And then, but how was that after that then?
I got a bit slightly better, but it wasn't enough. But I kept traveling, seeing people. I remember there was one time when I was in Paris alone, in early January, really cold alone. I was walking along Seine River, and I was crying. That you are in the middle of Fly City in Europe, but you don't have somebody to share with. Not because that you don't have anyone, but somebody that who really understands you and accepts your nature. I think that I didn't have it. So it was really interesting and really I think it was a good experience for me.
Yeah, so it's interesting you say this, right? So first of all, I think you're not alone at all in going through that. And it's an unfortunate thing in Vietnam. But I think in most cultures, not everyone speaks up enough about if they're having mental health issues. So I know here it can be even more difficult, but I think it's probably the same in most countries. And maybe people are getting better at opening up more. But so I just did a gig last week when I talked about my time. I used to live in New York for a short time. And now when I talk about my time in New York, I'm so effusive. I have all these stories and it sounds so fun and it sounds so amazing and cool and different and blah, blah, blah. It was the most horrible time of my life. Like living through it was like the lowest ebb of my entire short life. Like I was eating onion and lettuce sandwiches because I had no money. A girl broke up with me that I'd been in a relationship with a long time. I couldn't get a job, couldn't make friends.
Yeah.
Like horrible, horrible time living through it day to day. But that was like 12 odd years ago. And now when I talk about it like it was the best time of my life.
I agree. Totally agree. Yeah, looking back, I'm like, oh my God, if I didn't go through that period, I couldn't be here where I am today, completely, happily, perfectly happy. So yeah, it's
so
worth it.
Anyone who's listening going through that, it's a normal thing. And as well, I had a job in Australia I did for about 4 years, and after that, I was completely burnt out. Like my wife can tell you, I was burnt out. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I didn't want to do anything. As you can tell from I'm doing a podcast, I do comedy. I'm quite an outgoing person, but at this point, I did like a temp job just doing data entry because I was like, that's all I wanted to do. Just didn't want to do anything. But then you get better, things change. So I mean, everyone has these points in their life, right? So what changed then for you traveling? Because I think that's a common thing as well, right? Everyone has this kind of breakdown or has this tough time, and the solution for a lot of people is I'm gonna go traveling, right? And I think it's a good thing. So how did that help you?
I think the turning point for me, it was when I went to Sri Lanka. It was a very remarkable event happening in my life by the end of the trip. So Sri Lanka was my last destination. I went there alone again. So I joined Isaac. You know Isaac, right? Isaac group is. I'll explain later, but I got introduced to like some Sri Lankan young people. So they helped me. They helped me to show me around and explain me things, the culture, and even that they brought me home. To have dinner with the whole family. They invited me to stay at their home, treated me like one of their family members. That I think because I've been living alone for so long that I always had a distance with my family. I didn't have that. I don't have family dinners. I don't have family lunch at all. It's been so long. So now that I have it, so I felt overwhelmed. I felt so like loved and happy. And also by that time, in April, if you remember, there was a bombing attack happening across the country in Sri Lanka. I was completely alone. My friend was not with me.
You were there during that?
Yes, only 2 or 3 days after I landed. Yes, so I was traveling down from Colombo, and then one morning that I was on a bus to the city, and my friend texted me that, where are you? I'm like, I'm on a bus. So what's happening? Stay where you are. There's a bombing happening right here in the city, and my friend almost got killed, and I didn't know what to do. I was so alone. It was terrifying, and there was a curfew that you cannot leave house after 6 p.m. There was no restaurant, no store, nothing open after that. And I didn't know, so everything was shut down. No tour, so I booked a few trips, but then eventually they have to cancel it. So I didn't know what to do. I was alone. Nobody. I didn't dare to tell my parents because I don't want them to worry about it. So it was about like 3 or 4 days like that, staying in the hotel, doing nothing. So I started thinking about the purpose of life, the thing that I lost. So because of that event, so I started to think about my my life, that how I wanted to go in the next 5 or 10 years. So I spent, because you spend so much time alone that you have to face your problem. You cannot run away from it anymore. So yeah, I think it starts from that, and also because the relationship that I see, I think that I lost faith and trust in people here, and I think that I don't like the people here. That I don't like Vietnamese people. I don't like my country anymore because of some failure in business and relationship. But when I was in Sri Lanka, I was like, no, not because of some very small events happening in your life that you should be negative about life. So, and also because you feel like you're so close to death, and only at that point that's you want to live so much. You want to see your parents, your friends again. You want to do so much thing in life. So yeah, I think that that changed my life, and also that I gave up on meat. Like I don't eat meat anymore. So there's so many things. It was a chaos. So many things happened to me in like very short time, like 3 4 days. So remarkable events.
Yeah, I mean that would be life changing without a shadow of a doubt.
Yes.
And so how did you then get out of Sri Lanka? Like how when did it start? When did things start to calm down? 4 days in the hotel room.
Yeah.
What happened after that?
So I was so scared. I thought about I should book a ticket to go back to Vietnam immediately. But then a friend of mine told me that I should stay in the country a bit more for things to calm down. But the next day that I was thinking about like to reschedule my flight, and then they found a lot of bombs around the airport. Oh man, you don't know how it felt.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh man, what do I do here? I cannot go see my friends. I cannot go home. I don't know if I can see my parents again. Not too much, that too extra, but that's a feeling. So I was like, no, well, it is what it is. If you die, you die. Nothing you can do, nothing you can change. So I started traveling again after that. After 3 4 days in the hotel, so I go up north to a highland cities, really small, and everything was still peaceful, lovely, very nice climate. So I met a lot of like friends, like just like me, like solo travelers, expat people. So things got better from then.
Oh, cool. And what countries did you go to after that?
I went back to Vietnam.
Oh, that was your last stop.
Yes, and I started to look for a new apartment in D2 where I am living now. Started my life again.
You mentioned earlier, so you've traveled all over. You lived in the States for a while because you've got family there. You were talking to me before we started recording. What made you choose then Saigon? We talked about the craziness of Saigon. Why did you choose to make this your home?
I don't know. To be honest, I don't know. It's a feeling. Only your heart tells you where you feel home most, or where you feel connected to. So my heart chose Saigon. I think that I owe Saigon something. So that's the reason why that I just chew it over and over again. I even like give up some relationship because of Saigon, because I don't want to live here. I don't want to leave my country, my people, and also that I think that I have a purpose here to make. I think that I call myself an idealist, that I want to make a change to make Saigons better because I see the potential, and especially when I have nieces and nephew. They are 15 18 years old now, so I want to make a small impact to make the society better, so they can grow up in a better environment. So
Completely agree. I mean, we talk about the development of Saigon and things are changing, but I think now is almost like the prime time to make things better for the future, whether that's for the environment or whatnot. Like now, when things are changing, we need to make sure things are set up now so that in 10 or 20 years, when it's fully developed or more developed, whatever stage of development it's at, those things are already in place. So we need to start now, not
Yes.
like 20, 30 years. So you've got an educational foundation. So tell that, is that your purpose then? Is that part of what brought you back here?
yes, that's something that want to sorry so the foundation, I call it Mầm Thương. It's very Vietnamese name and I love it. It sounds so loving if you understand Vietnamese. Mầm Thương Foundation. That what makes me want to wake up every morning. That's I found my purpose after the trip, after the bombing attack. I want to, because when I see children, because I have nieces and nephew, when I see the kids, I see young people, I see the future. So there's no way, because I believe in education. There's nothing gonna stop you from getting proper education. That's gonna change your life a lot. That will make your life and your your family life much better. So because that, I think I always feel like I'm such a I have such a privileged life now. I'm so lucky. I always claim myself a lucky person that I have a lot. So that's why that I want to share that with everyone. I want to give underprivileged children living in rural cities or even some districts in Saigon where you will see a lot of like homeless kids. Um, yeah, the purpose is we want to sponsor for them to go to school. That's it. Very simple. Because a very simple philosophy that if they can take care of themselves, they will take care of their family, and moreover, they will take care of the society, if people. Simple with that.
I mean, education is
Yes.
everything, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I always remember when I worked for a charity back in Australia, and we'd tell a story about, I think it was kids in Sudan who would break into a school to read books, or because they didn't have the money for the education, so they would break in to read books. Whereas in the West, you have a lot of kids who bloody go to school to break windows just for fun. It's, don't understand how lucky they are to have that,
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. So how's that been going? How many kids have you sponsored?
We just started a few months back, so we are developing the website. So we currently have 3 children to sponsor. Really good start, and we have a list of like 10 or 20 more. So we are going to see them, talk to them, and hear about their story. It's all about story, where you feel like connected, where you feel empathy with the story.
And what districts are you focusing on, or what cities?
Not any specific districts. Anywhere I see that we can help. Currently, there's one kid from Tân Bình, and the other 2 in Dong Nai. Yeah, a bit like far, like 30-40 kilometers from Saigon.
And do you go visit with them, meet the parents,
Yes.
see the situation?
Yes.
And
Yes.
and what's the reaction been then when you've been able to fund that education?
They just kids. They're so pure. They're so. I don't know how to say it, but when I hear the story that how suffering the family make a living, and how much they want to get education, they want to go to class, learn how to speak English and stuff. Oh my God. It just melts your heart. They're so simple. And growing up, like, people taught you a lot to be afraid of life, to scare of things, and to be skeptical with like other people, relationship, life. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? No, life shouldn't be that, negative. It should be hope. I think hope is the only key message that I want to give to the children. As long as you're trying hard to work hard, there's always people out there helping you, right there by your side.
Beautiful.
So I want to be, that support for the children, because I think the reason why that I'm doing what I'm doing now is because I didn't have that support from the family. I don't want to study business at all. I always loved arts and history, but my parents always want me to become a doctor, a lawyer, and stuff. Very typical, right? And turns out that I am okay with my career, but I wish that I had more freedom to go for art and history.
It does make me a little bit sad, being an English teacher in the past, and being here for so long. There is that pressure, and that's a very kind of like Asian stereotype, but I think it's one of those ones that's based in reality, to become an accountant or doctor, something like that. And there doesn't seem to be as much kind of acceptance of the arts, or something different other than those like prescribed kind of jobs. And if someone doesn't do it, then I guess it's like disappointment, right? Or whatnot, which is a shame, because there's obviously so much more.
I have so one of my nieces, she is now 16, and she has to think about what she want to do in life. So she asked me that whether she can be an interior designer or a doctor. I'm like, no, you don't have to do all those kind of things if you don't want to. Not because of your parents, which is my brother, ask you to do whatever you want, as long as you can be responsible for your life, can make enough living that you're not going to depend on your parents. That's okay. I'm happy to see you being an artist, sitting on a street painting. If that makes you happy, go for it. And yeah, so that's how that now I become a great support for my nieces.
And do you think that with a generational change in Vietnam, do you think that's starting to change away from the you have to be a lawyer, you have to be a doctor, like you have to be an accountant? Is that starting to be different?
To be honest, I don't think it changed a lot. But I think the young people, the generation now, they're so smart, they're capable of doing great things in life, but they don't have someone to guide them. So I see that potential in them, that I want to be that person for them. So yeah, I always have hope that people ask me that what I'm good at. I always tell people that seeing good thing in people is my greatest strength.
I like it. It's lovely.
Yeah.
Well, let's go back to the. Sorry, that's beautiful, and I think that's an amazing thing as well. Let's go back to you ended up back in the food and beverage industry
Again. Oh my God. So many times that I told my headhunter that I'm so done with alcohol, so please don't send me any job that require me to stay late in the market on the street. But I end up the one time is funny. One time the girl, she was so nice. She was just talking a lot about the guy who is my boss right now. He's Indian, but he's not like typical Indian. But I'm like, I don't want to, but because you're talking a lot about him, so okay, I'll go see him. But at end up, it was not a regular interview, so we end up talking for like 2 hours straight about the business, about the Vietnam market. So I end up working for them right now.
So tell us, who is it you're working for now then?
Bira 91.
And tell us about that.
It's a great company. It's not owned by the biggest guy like AB InBev or Diageo.
Yet.
Yeah, I hope not,
Everyone's got that price, right?
But hope is not so soon.
Yeah.
It's a product, really, we call it flavorful because we offer a lot of flavors. Second is a label, everything under 5% of alcohol with low bitterness that, Asian people prefer having something light and fresh so they can stay all night, like 5 hours, drinking a case of like 24 or maybe 2 cases. So, and the last is affordable. We believe in the good quality and a good price so people can enjoy the good beer.
Which is a big point of difference, right? Because there's so many players in the craft beer market now. And I love that. And I love my hoppy bitter beers. Strong ones are difficult though, because, sometimes I don't want to be wasted. I just want to have a light beer.
Yes.
And I'm now started recently gravitating away from the strong hoppy 7.5% because
Okay.
I just want to have a light beer.
Yep.
And, not be wasted after one beer. So I guess that, and then appealing to the Vietnamese market who are maybe not attracted to the strong hoppy beers.
Yeah.
How's it going so far? That sounds like it could work.
The product's only here for like 1 month and a half, and we have really positive feedback from consumers. They love the branding with the monkey face, very flavorful, funky. Always like go out of norms, like the regular norm. So yeah, I think it's gonna be really potential in the next 1 or 2 years.
So we're actually going to give away a 6-pack of Bira 91, right?
Yes, with 3 flavors. Number 1 is lager. We call it summer blonde, summer lager. 2 is a wheat beer. We call it white. And the other one is IPA. It's not a strong hoppy with heavy alcohol IPA that you usually have in the market, like local craft beers. But it's going to be really, again, light, low alcohol, fresh. You can drink a lot. So, yes.
Well, so if you're listening and you want to win a 6-pack of beer, go to the Facebook page, 7 Million Bike, a Saigon podcast. Leave a review. Tell me what you think about the podcast, whether it's good, bad, or terrible. I want to hear from you. Tell us what you think of this episode, and we'll put you into a draw, and the winner will get a 6-pack from Bira 91.
Yes, and it's not only the beers, the 6-packs, and I will give away the T-shirt with very nice monkey head and playing card. Yes.
Awesome.
Very nice design. And maybe one opener. You need an opener.
She's going to give you a whole pack of stuff. So go onto Facebook, leave a review. That would be amazing. And you can win some beer, which is good beer. I tried it recently at the beer festival and Another beer to try. So we're going to move on to the final questions that I ask everyone at the end of
Okay.
7 Million Bikes Season 2. So the first one is, what bike do you drive and how do you deal with the Saigon traffic?
Again, I don't think that I'm very typical Vietnamese because I don't drive. I do have a bike. It's a Vision Blue. Yes, I do have a bike, but I don't drive a lot. First, because I don't have a license. Sorry.
Does anyone in Vietnam? I actually do, but I think most people don't.
I don't think all of us has. Well, because most of people will have a license. It's so easy to get. But like people lazy like me, it's a bit like illegal.
So how do you get about then?
So I always a big customers of like be Grab, GoVid, like whatever, Uber before that. I don't want to suffer a lot of like noise, traffics, and the heat of Saigon. It's so hot outside. So and also it's
So are you a Grab car person or a Grab bike?
both. In the morning I don't want to spend like half an hour to go to work, which is only take me 10 or 15 minutes max on a bike. So I usually hop on a bike in the morning, and I after a day so tired that I would take a car. So it's so much relaxed and easier.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a reward for you after a long day at work.
Drinking beer all day.
Drinking beer all day.
So what's the oddest thing you've seen on a bike?
To be honest, as a Vietnamese, there's nothing can surprise us anymore.
But what's the most surprising. What's the oddest thing? And if you've lived here since you were 5 years old, I'm sure you must have seen some very
On a
odd
bike.
things. Maybe put on your Western glasses for this and imagine from a Western point of view.
Not a bike, but I remember I saw a bicycle carrying in the back a bike. That's the weirdest thing. Man,
A push bike.
Yeah, a bicycle
Carrying a motorbike on the back.
in the back. I'm like, how does it happen? How is it even possible? And one bike, can hold up to 6 persons, six people, like 2 parents and 4 kids.
That was a question I thought about asking, is what's the most amount of people you've seen on a bike?
Oh my god.
If you've not lived here, then people won't understand what we're talking about.
It still amazed me somehow,
Yeah.
some way.
It's I think the most I've seen is maybe 6 or 7 on a bike.
Even 7?
Maybe, I can't remember now off the top of my head, but yeah, it's
I think
amazing.
that I still have a photo. I can send it to you later.
There's websites out there with like just things that you see on the back of
Okay.
bikes in Vietnam.
Okay.
It's pretty funny. So you got 24 hours off. You don't need to go into work. You don't need to answer any emails. You got a day off in Saigon. Tell me about your ideal 24 hours off in Saigon. What do you do?
Interesting. If I have 24 hours completely off, I think that I will wake up early in the morning, 7, start with a cup
That's
of
late
tea.
for Vietnam.
7.
7 in the morning, that's late for Vietnam.
That's
Everyone's
really-
up at 6.
It's really early for me.
For you.
I always go home at 12 or like
Yeah, fair enough.
2 a.m. So I will get up at 7, start a day with a cup of tea, and then I will head out at one of my favorite brunch, like breakfast spots in Saigon, which is OPAC. You know OPAC, right?
Yeah.
And then I love being a tourist in the city, in my own city. So I love writing postcards and send it to people. So I think after breakfast that I will go to the post office, the city post office, and buy some postcards, writing people, and then I will just work along Nguyễn Huệ or Dong Khởi streets, and then I'll check out some museums. I love museums. I love art, but there's not a lot of options here, or any exhibition, art galleries. Wandering around, I will get another coffee.
Which one? Have you got a favorite coffee spot you would go to?
My favorite coffee, there's a very small coffee place in Saigon. So small. It's called Nap. Actually, in Vietnamese, people say it Nup, but in English, people call it Nap. Really small, where you can get a quite like decent egg coffee from the north. Yes.
Whereabouts is that?
It's just right here. I think it's in D1, Nup or Nap, Saigon.
We'll put a link to it.
NAB, Saigon. Yeah.
Right, so then you have your coffee still in the morning. What's next?
I will sit at a coffee shop and reading a book. So my all the time favorite authors is Simon Sinek. Start with Why, if you know.
See
Very
the famous YouTube video about start with why,
yes,
right?
and
Talks about-
millennial and stuff, and that how that changed my life a lot. How I see things in business and corporate environments. How to like form and shape my leadership style. But right now, my current book I'm reading now is a book from Barack Obama called Dreams for My Father. I just finished the book from his wife, Michelle Obama. Becoming is fantastic. I love books. I used to have a library and tea shop.
Yeah, you were saying that.
I grew up with book because I am the only child to my dad. I was not allowed to go out, hang out with my friends, so I just stay home and read books. Yeah. So I love books. So I think I would stay there for like a couple of hours, like 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
Ordering some drinks, and then I'll just walk along the river, Saigon River. Maybe take a grab to another favorite spot. I might invite some of my friends to join me.
We're up to like lunchtime now, so where would you go for lunch?
Lunch. I think I will go back to D2. So right now I love those where you want to be seen, where you want to see people at the same time. But I love River Cottage in D2, if you know. It's a very hidden place in Saigon. River Cottage by the river, so quiet, and it's a homestay. They offer 7 rooms only. It's a homestay. It's a restaurant. It's also a bar. Quiet, yeah. And I think that I will end up at the ATM again, the ATM or the alley for a cocktail. Yeah, relax, doing nothing. I don't want to talk to people except the bartender. And it's a good thing that you don't need to look at the menu to order a drink. You always can tell the bartender what type of liquor that you want to go. That's a base, and the flavors you want, like sour, sweet, bitter, something, and they will make it accordingly.
Yeah, I love that when they do
Per
that. I
your
remember the
request.
first time that happened to me. I was like, wait, what do you mean? What are I doing? Like, just tell the liquor. And then they have to give you I was like, what do you mean flavor? And then they give you the examples. Like, oh, okay, right. I kind of get this.
Yes.
So now you've got a week off, right? You get a week to explore Vietnam. Where would you go?
I think I could choose the north, the top north, like Sapa and stuff. I went there one time for a trekking trip, but I didn't stay long enough to explore the whole town. Or Hoi An. If I had a week, I could go there, stay in one villa again, read the book, or like 2 or 3. Making friends with local people. That's it. I don't want to do a lot. I've been traveling a lot and doing a lot of things, so
Really, just relax.
easy life is important to re-energize yourself.
Now, last question, and I hope you have a good answer for this because you're in the food and beverage industry.
Okay.
So somewhere I guess that we've not mentioned already, because we've mentioned ATM, which my question is, do you have a hidden gem that you can share with people? I would say the ATM is probably one of the best hidden gems. We've already mentioned it, so something else.
Okay. The hidden gem, I think that 2 places. Barber, Saigon. Do you know that?
I've heard of that. I haven't been, but
Yes.
tell us a bit about that then.
It's a barber shop on 2nd floor, but downstairs the kind of like looks like a basement, but it's on a ground floor. It's a bar. It's a little bit like similar concept with the ATM, but they only have like 6 seats. That's it.
It's like a speakeasy, right?
Yes. Where you have very nice, decent cocktail. Again, quiet. You know, they play jazz. I am a big fan of jazz and blues, classic music.
Well, one of our previous guests is a jazz singer. Do you know Ella Beth?
No, I don't.
She was a finalist on the Vietnamese Voice. She's a jazz singer, so she does a lot of gigs around town doing jazz. Look out for her.
Yeah, they play Louis Armstrong, Frank Sinatra, Leonard Cohen. I'm a huge fan of Leonard Cohen.
Oh, cool.
I even have a list like with more than 200 songs from Leonard Cohen, and I name it "Man from My Dream."
Oh. And what was your second hidden gem?
I think I mentioned it earlier. River Cottage.
Oh yeah.
Yes,
Need to look that one up. So we'll post the links to these places in the show notes, and people can look them up if they want to go.
Sure.
Thank you very much. This has been an awesome conversation. Thank you for the prize. So just remember, if you want to win, tell us what a listener can win.
A 6-pack with 6 bottles with 3 flavors, and a little bit extra gifts like the T-shirt, some keychain with a really cool design. I'm sure no branding, so you will feel absolutely happy to carry it around. Some playing card that even you're not a fan of Bira 91 or beer, that you can always carry it around. I don't want to be too branding,
But thank you so much for offering that. So go onto the Facebook page, leave a review, tell us that you've watched this episode, and we'll choose one winner to win that. And so what's happening next with Bira 91? Have you got any big plans?
So next year is gonna be really busy with us. So we're planning to win the market, but it's not like the massive commercial brands that you will see. But it's gonna be really. We offer really cool things. We give what is different between like Bira and the other brands is because we offer a lot of flavors within one brand, and it's for the young generation. Low alcohol, low bitterness, and also freedom with funky style, and it's gonna be really fit for Vietnamese consumer here.
And where can you find it in Saigon?
Right now, you can go to Odot Quán, B Craft, Brilliant. Do you know Brilliant?
Yeah, I love Brilliant.
Yes,
Yeah.
BAM, some like Vietnamese local craft beer, like the Color, BAM. Oh man, I forgot, but it's a long list. I can share later.
Yeah, cool.
Yes.
All right, we'll go out, have a beer. I know I'm ready for one now.
Cool.
Thank you so much. This has been awesome. It's been amazing having you on. And guys, thanks for listening, and have a great day. Cheers.
Hột gà nướng, hột vịt lộn, hột vịt sữa, trứng cút lộn, ớt xào đây.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to leave a review on Facebook if you want to be in with a chance to win some Beer 91 merchandise and a 6-pack of beers. Thank you very much to GiangSinh for giving that as a prize. Thanks to her as well for an amazing interview today. Great to hear her stories and her background in life and her romantic love story of how her mum and dad overcame adversity. Thank you to Lewis Wright for composing the theme music and to Lane Wynn for helping design the cover art. Thanks to everyone for listening. Don't forget to subscribe or leave a review if you can. And have a great day. Cheers.
Hột vịt lộn, hột vịt sữa, trứng cút lộn, ớt xào đây. Ớt xào đây.
Hope you enjoyed this episode. If you're like me, you may use your laptop at places where you have to use public Wi-Fi. This opens you up to digital snoopers. It's a massive problem. It can be your internet service provider, or you know who, looking at what you do online, or a cyber criminal trying to steal your bank passwords or credit card info, or even a hacker at the next table trying to steal your sensitive data. These days, it is vital that you keep your data safe. NordVPN keeps all of these snoopers away. It makes your internet activity private, protects you from accessing dangerous websites that are phishing for your data, and lets you enjoy your favorite content securely, even while away from home. And it's easy to use, even I could use it. I've actually been using NordVPN for years now here in Vietnam, and I'm excited to be an affiliate partner with them. I've used NordVPN to watch Netflix, BBC, Disney Plus with ease. And I also know that my information and data are safe from prying eyes, whoever they may be. Join now and you'll get 68% off and 3 months free when you go to my link, nordvpn.com/SMB. Just again, for those hard of hearing, nordvpn.com/SMB. The link is also in the show notes. I know nobody checks them out, but go check that out and you can get the link from wherever you are listening to this podcast. As an affiliate partner, it also means that I will get a small commission when you sign up, but at no extra cost to you. So not only will you be getting a great deal through 7 Million Bikes, you get a great VPN and you'll be supporting 7 Million Bikes podcast. Stay safe online and enjoy the shows you love. Any questions, just let me know. You know how to get in touch with me. And thanks for listening to this show. Cheers.